Hey, Jen here. Hope everybody is well. It's a little better. It's up where it should be now. So this kind of video makes me nervous. I hope you'll understand that I'm not an actress, and yeah, it makes me nervous. So it's gonna be part testimony, and I try to jump off right from the beginning in these videos to just explain what I'm going to talk about, and just to give you a rough outline real quickly of how I'm going to approach this topic. So, I have to come from a personal standpoint because I can't speak for you. The goal of this video is going to be to shine a light on things that are happening in America, and more importantly, in the home and in the family and in the hearts of those of us who dwell in homes and families, and to try and I always get nervous when I see people jump in and then leave immediately. People don't want to listen. They don't want to hear. So, the goal of this video is to highlight what's going on in family dynamics from my personal testimony, to try and help others avoid the pitfalls that I myself have fallen into. And so, for a few minutes, I'm just going to speak off the cuff with no script, tell you just a little tiny bit about myself in case you're new here, because you deserve to know who you're getting your information from and who you're listening to. And you should always take all things back to the source. Go as far as you can to the root of a subject. Now, I know that there are people on here who are going to say what they're going to say, and they're going to have their own opinions, and they don't mind exposing people or channels. I try not to do that on this channel unless somebody is really, bringing a wrong message that's blatantly obvious, because I'm a layperson just like a lot of us are. I'm not a seminarian, I'm not a theologian, I'm not a scientist, I'm not an engineer, and I'm not a doctor, and I'm not a lawyer. So this is my testimony being told to help you all. Now, I want to approach this. I listened to a video yesterday, a teaching on Revelation 18. I apologize for the noise. It's just Sammy having his treat. I want to tell you about this video that I listened to. He was talking about Revelation 18, and I shared the video, and I can link it below as long as I remember to. But he was talking about things that are manifesting here and now in America. And to come forward from this video, you have to understand that America is Babylon. Excuse me for a minute while I make sure that the video is streaming and looking as it should. Okay, it is. Good. Okay, so he was talking about Revelation 18, and to understand Revelation 18 and Babylon, you have to know where you're at, right? And so America is Babylon. And I know that a lot of longtime teachers of the Bible say that the Catholic Church is Babylon, but you need to look around. It is America. It is the beast system, the military industrial complex, and it is our media. Thus, it is also a part of us and our internal spiritual condition that is manifesting this outward progression of Babylon. And my theory that I posit in all of my videos is that we never left Babylon. We are still there. We're deceived. And I want to talk a little bit about being deceived. And I know that when I hear testimonies that are far out there or out of my scope of reasoning, that I quit listening to them. I'm like, they're crazy. This doesn't pertain to me. This isn't relevant to me. So I'm not going to listen to it. But chances are that this will help you in the future, and maybe right now. But I cannot speak from your point of view. I can only speak from my point of view. And again, there are channels on here, especially for those of us that are small timers and we are targeted individuals. Now, you got to understand that that concept, that dynamic is not just one small group, it is happening all over America. Now, and I also want to preface this by saying I do believe that there is technology that can interfere with our vessels, our bodies, our and our minds somewhat. We know this. We know by learning the theory of light and all the different degrees in the light spectrum. We see it in Men in Black. They tell it to us everywhere. You see it with hypnotism. They always use a light and some type of shiny object. So we know that our minds they are the most magnificent quantum computer. They are the original quantum computer that mankind we're making the image of the beast in our own image. So therefore, we are making ourselves gods through AI. And how did we get here? Well, I want to shine a light on where I think we're at right now. And we have to come from the preface of America is Babylon, come out of her, my people. It is not just the Catholic Church. I mean, everybody has drunk of the cup of our drunkenness. If you look at our military, we are everywhere. Everything that we do ends up becoming a trend elsewhere. This is why now they don't want people traveling. This is why we're kind of trapped almost like it's a prison. This is why you see people saying they're in one place, but they're not actually there. There's a lot of deception happening right now. And when you're a targeted individual, you will have other small channels that will come after you too. Number one is just to get you off the platform if you're competition. I've seen this happen to a lot of bigger channels, and you'll see their stories. Now they're monetizing their stories, the fact that they stalked these people until they got offline. I don't recall their names offhand, but there have been several, especially women, females, big time YouTubers, and even smaller ones who have got pushed off the platform through stalking. They couldn't endure it anymore. They couldn't handle it because somebody wanted to get rid of the competition. So that's one aspect of this. My ring light went out. I apologize. It looks weird. That's one aspect of this. Um, and so you will also see character assassinations online and in your small towns. And if I were somebody on the outside, I would hear somebody's testimony like mine and say, this is so outlandish. This must be crazy. But I would beg you to listen, because it's like an onion, right? First, on the superficial level, there are people that go after other channels or accuse other people maybe of being what is the worst thing you could accuse somebody of being? A child harmer. Well, that's how you get rid of your political opponents. You say they're a child harmer. Back in the day, it was you say they're crazy, or you say they're an adulterer, or you say they're gay, right? And so then everybody will stop listening to them, or everyone will vote for the other person, or everyone will go to their competitor business wise. You see all the bannings and boycotts happening right now. That's one way this deception is working, right? Another way is to hide the deeper roots of what's going on, that it is spiritual, that we do have legitimate and literal covens operating around us. And again, there are people who have massive platforms who talk about these things all day long. My videos get stopped the second they get any notice. I have a short that did really well in the first hour. It has had no views since that first hour in getting 1,000 views. There's something wrong here. Every person that I have tried to reach out to in my family, from an Apple, from a Samsung, I reached my one cousin. He said, we had made arrangements. We were going to meet up on the weekend, and he was going to, we were going to talk about me coming there to live. And after that, he said, I will talk to you after work. And after that, every time I talk to him, I talked to him twice more, but he doesn't message back. He doesn't answer pertinent personal questions like about himself that he should know. So that's disturbing, especially when I know these people on my dad's side of the family. They send back thank you notes, and they're very, even if they don't like you, they would tell you, they would reply just to say, hey, I'm getting your messages, but I don't want to have anything to do with you. That's how they are. Well, how does this affect you? And I see I have one person watching, which is probably my monitor. Is probably the person watching to see, can this video go out? Should we let it get any traction? What can we use from this video for our content forms to exploit this person and the information that they have? Stop it. Like, who's here? You can't say hello? Is it you, Jason? Is it my oldest son, my youngest son? Who do they have watching me? Because 10 minutes now, and there have only been 2 people in and out of the chat at all. I'm trying to tell you this isn't normal, that America has been sequestered. We are in some type of quarantine now from the rest of the world. What you're seeing our media give us, and they're saying it's in other countries, I don't even trust that that's legitimate at this point. We've seen CNN lie and say they're in Iran and they're on the top of their news station building with a fan, with a wind maker and a couple of trees in the background. And this is when it gets frustrating for me, because it's like I'm speaking into the void. Why should I go through the pain of telling some of these things again? So how responsible are you when the people around you tempt you and push you into the pit? How responsible are you? My goal is also to tell you that for many years, I compartmentalized feelings, experiences, events that didn't make sense into different boxes. This doesn't make sense. I don't understand it. It's bothering me in some type of way, but I'm going to put it in this box because I can't deal with it right now. In this box, I'm going to put my family, because one day I want to go back to them. One day I want to mend fences and mend roads with them, but I'm not who I need to be right now. I'm ashamed and I'm guilty because the people around me are using me and abusing me. So how responsible are you then for your transgression or your behavior or your sin? My goal is to show you that we are all responsible for ourselves, and in part for our brothers and our sisters and our neighbors. We can't be pushing each other into these situations and then shunning people or banning them or blackballing them, not allowing them to work in their own town and make a living and feed themselves, because we just don't want to see them anymore. We don't want to hear them anymore. We don't want reminded of what we did wrong to get this person in this situation to where they are the way they are now. The guilt and shame from these things, from 2019 in the beginning, when everybody was trying to pressure and peer pressure each other into putting something into their body, into changing their body. Well, you don't, and here comes the gaslighting and the emotional guilt and the emotional blackmail. Well, you don't love your neighbors. Don't you love your neighbors? You can't possibly be a caring Christian if you don't do this for your neighbors, if you don't mask up and hide the image of God and not breathe, and have heart problems. Well, you don't love your neighbor. If you don't do this thing to your body, you don't love your neighbor. I'm going through that right now. If you don't do this with me, it means you don't love me. No, I'm serving you in every other way, but my mind and my body and my soul are my own. You're not going to possess those or invade those when you're in the spiritual condition, thus probably a physical condition that you're in. I'm not going to endanger my spirit and my body. The goal is to bring you from the crippling paralyzation that I was in for years, and to show you, no, it's not your fault, but you are accountable for yourself and you can do something about it to get out of that situation and to start looking at things a little bit differently. Substances that are brought into these scenarios, and I'm telling you that this is happening, and you don't have to believe me. They will never tell you that the goal is spiritual. It will always look superficial. Okay? The goal for me was to get me into sin. The goal was also to get me on camera committing this sin and then making somebody else's life easier by eliminating me in whatever way they needed to out of this scenario, out of my life, out of my family, out of my home. When you bring substances into a situation like this, where there's already abuse happening, where there's already some type of Stockholm syndrome and constant gaslighting, where the person is questioning their reality, I want to tell you that their behavior is also not your fault. And you can stand up and say no. I was so in belief of the words that other people had put upon me, that I was no good, that I was dirty, that I was, a scarlet woman. If you don't know what that means, look it up. I don't want to, be profane. That I was a fallen woman, that I was adulterous, that I was a witch, which is ironic. They always accuse you of the things that they're doing. The goal was to get me, as guilty as they were, to blackmail me into that situation if I did not want to give my energy freely and my time freely. Well, then they blackmail you. This is happening all across America, in small towns, everywhere. And I'm going to try and prove it with Revelation 18. And now that I've been talking about these things since 2018, and other people are starting to talk about it. And it's really sad that they have to be monetized. I listened to another person yesterday, and I still like the channel and I still love the person, but we all have error, right? And he said, well, if you're not going to be paying me to be on that platform, I ain't coming to that platform. Do you know how many hours of my time I've given up freely to this platform? An hour or two a day for years of my life. 3.5 years steady, off and on for about 6. Every single day. Just to try and make headway and to expose what's happening. And so if you're seeing these things on the surface happen, people trying to manipulate you and peer pressure you, maybe you caved, maybe you allowed them to put that thing in your arm, maybe you didn't, and maybe now you have no support system, you have no family like me, maybe you're isolated and secluded. The goal of these types of videos is to use my experience to show you that you can come out of that dark place, but you have to take responsibility for your part. I'm not saying that what happened to you is right. I'm not saying that abuse is right at all. We have a really big problem in this country with victim shaming and victim mentality, both. How can a person ever come out of that victim mentality if they don't have a voice? Because you're only a victim if you're kept quiet, if you're kept in that position. Once you speak upon something, you're no longer a victim. You're an advocate for your own health, your own well-being, your own mental state, your own physical state, and your own spiritual state. So we can come out of that victim mentality, but also victim shaming is not going to get us anywhere either. Okay, these things happen to you. Yes, you were abused. Yes, you've had things said to you and done to you that are heinous and maybe you could never repeat. You need to, because that's how you move from victim to advocate, is by the will of action. You're putting into action your will. You are using the sword of the Spirit, which is your tongue and your words, to proclaim and have a voice and say, I'm not going to take this anymore. Yes, I've made mistakes. Yes, I've been wicked, but so have you. Yes, I've been abused. My problem is the shame that the transition part of this is the shaming of people. Well, you allowed it to happen. You must have done something wrong. Well, I don't want you in my life or my home or what have you if you are in this position now. So it takes effort on both sides. Just like when you're on a seesaw. If only one person's working or one person weighs more and their burden's heavier, the other person's lift up in the air, right? We have to even things out a bit. Now, I'm going to bring up Revelation 18, and I'm going to use regular words to just, and again, I'm not a teacher. I'm not a theologian. I'm doing what I feel like is my part. I'm using my voice to move from victim mentality, to doing something. And if the only place I have to speak my truth is to the void, and maybe it'll help one other woman, mother, sister, aunt, grandmother, or even son or husband. It's not always the woman who's abused. I have given my share too. And that's the problem, is when you're with somebody, you start to mirror their behavior. So now the victim is not just being abused, but they're also taking up traits of their abuser. And in this way, I have read, and you can do the research on your own, I'm not a doctor, but in this way, the abused can look like or present symptoms of bipolar disorder. The reason it looks like this is because when you're in that victim stage, and everybody knows the abuse cycle, you go from honeymoon, right, where things are great, and that usually comes after a big blow up and you've been really talked down to and really verbally, financially, mentally, or physically abused. And then you come into that honeymoon phase where everything's great, and that's kind of what you hang on for. Because there are good moments. There are good ones. The bad ones are really bad, but there are good ones. We all know. And we have to stop covering up for abusers. Now, here's the thing where shame comes in. Is there a place for public shaming? Now, my best advice to you is to tell you to not sin, to not behave badly and poorly. Even if you don't believe in God, it's not good morally, it's not good ethically, it's not good for your reputation, it's not good for your family, thus it's not good for the community or the society. And that's what we're seeing now, like a domino effect. We saw this breakdown in the family units, and so it's spreading outward, and it's turning into a breakdown in our societal structure. And they know this. They. Who are they? The controllers, whatever you want to call them. I wouldn't call them elitists. Again, those people on the screen are just bread and circus. They're just to keep us busy, us angry, not actually watching what work is being done behind the scenes. So again, when you get to the deeper layers of this onion, it's no longer about money or reputation. It gets to be about pride. If you've offended these people in some way, you've gotten on their bad list. But mostly, especially within the last 7 to 8 years, it's been because of repentance, because people decide to change their ways, because people want to be the better versions of themselves. Most people, if you sit down and ask most individuals, they want to be the best versions of themselves that they can be. What's stopping them from that? Our societal structure, thus our family structure. We have to take another look at all of these things. And it's a complex problem that I'm not here to solve today. My goal is to try and get you and me from that victim mentality to simply using your voice and moving from victim, who is paralyzed, who doesn't know what to do because you never know what's going to set somebody off that you're living with, your abuser. You don't know if you should clean today. You don't know if you should not clean. Anytime I speak up, and see, this is the problem. This is what I did to myself, and I'm going to be very honest here. I don't know if I've ever said this out loud and in public, but I became addicted to pain medication that I am on for a reason. And I'll get to that because, again, this is where your circle comes in. And this is what I'm telling you. There are covens operating around you. And it's not a joke. Like that, it's happening. That's what America is. We're a society of pagans. And if you don't want to join the club, and if they can't blackmail you to join the club, well, then you are blackballed. Old school mafia style blackballed. You get no job, you get no identity in society, you get excluded, which they're already now they're talking about it openly, and people are cheering for it. They want this to happen. See, and that's the problem with it. That people don't want to see the homeless. They don't want to be reminded, out of sight, out of mind. They don't want to see other people suffering while they're doing well. Well, if they're going to suffer, can they go over there and do it where I can't see them? My son told me that. I said, I'm in pain and I'm suffering mentally a couple years ago. And he said, well, go do that somewhere else. Well, you guys put me in this position. And now I have nowhere else to go. Substances will not help this situation. And sometimes people will come around you. If you've ever seen the movie The Fallen with Denzel Washington, it's a lot like that. Sometimes people will come around you with the intent purpose of tripping you up. I had women jealous of me on social media, women who wanted my spouse and who got him. And they tell you that they've done these things. And still, I'm the one that gets blackballed from society. I'm the one that can't maintain a job. I am the one who fast whether I want to or not because I can't afford food all the time. If I want shoes on my feet to be walking all over the place. You see how this affects people? In this way, we are also responsible. We are our brothers and sisters' keeper in that way, that we are not to intentionally trip them up. And so when substances are brought into an already abusive situation, the problem with guilt and shame is that you constantly are blaming yourself. You believe what they tell you for years. I am no good. I am a fallen woman. That's all I'm good for. I'm nothing. I'm trash. I'm dirt. I've been called so many, the C word, so many times. When you treat a lady like a lady, she'll behave like a lady. I know for a fact that there are regular families out there, soccer moms, who don't have problems like I have. So when I speak to these things, people do think you're crazy. And I would think the same thing if I was on the outside. This is why you don't reach out for help. This is why you don't reach out to family, because you believe the lie. You feel like they are better than you, that they don't want anything to do with you, that if you do call them, they're just going to tell you to go away. You believe the lie of your abuser that they've told you all these years, that you're trash, that your family wants nothing to do with you. And they only tell you this to keep you. For years, not a single movie. Won't take a walk with me. Won't take me to dinner. But every night comes home asking for my body. There's a disconnect there. There's something wrong. And again, this is how you know. And we're going to read Revelation 18, and I'm going to show you what's going on and where this is coming from at a deeper level. But I had to start at the surface level of the onion so you'd understand on a basic level what this looks like. It looks like abusive situations. It looks like the homeless addicts that you see on the street. The goal was to make me an addict. He was mad yesterday when I said that. I said I was addicted to pain medication. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. If you were, you would have never been able to quit. That's terrible to say to somebody. But they're so blind. They don't even know that they're giving themselves away, that they shouldn't be speaking like that if they have a humanity in their heart, any care in their heart for their fellow man, that there are things they shouldn't be saying, shouldn't be doing, and they put it on display at this point. And this, again, this should signal you there's something deeper going on. The goal is to tempt you. The goal is to get you to fall to an extent, to put a hole in your armor, so that either you can be emotionally, mentally, physically blackmailed over to the side of darkness, to the beast system that they are. Think like the centipede and the blockchain and crypto, like all these names that they give it, and it all has to do with slavery and death. But people are flocking to it. Our sons, our daughters. Now, here's the thing. I want my sons to understand that the harm, if harm, I don't know what kind, okay? And this is very personal. It's their story to tell, so I'm not going to get into it. But if harm was done to them, because I trusted family that they were with, close family, well, I had to go slave and work because somebody else wouldn't. 2 and 3 jobs sometimes, because then suddenly they wanted name brand shoes when they used to never care about any of that. My kids were good-hearted beings. I wanted to raise good beings, solid beings. I always told them, be the Ibbles, responsible, be honorable, be dependable, be reliable, be the Ibbles. And I told them about God, but I wanted them to make their own choice. That's folly when they're small, because things like baptism and praying over your children can help a great deal. And so I have to tell my children in this video that I'm sorry if I trusted the wrong people and if any harm was done to you. I'm sorry for any harm that was done to you. You need to understand that this is a massive problem, that it's not just on the TV, it's not just on the screen, that it is in the hearts and bodies of a lot of people at this point, but especially males. See, they get you to fall The spiritual reason for this is to get you demonized, is to get an attachment with you. And I hope at this point I can say things like that and they're not so outrageous that people don't know what I'm talking about. I mean, they invented a syndrome for it, for crying out loud, because people are waking up. There is no such thing as demon syndrome. Your spiritual eyes are working. Empty your temple and you'll see things you never thought existed. I'm not even kidding. The more you deny the physical, the more spiritual you see. And I'm not telling you to completely deny that you're a physical being. I mean, the more that you don't put into it, like say all you put in there was water, right? For a few days, 72 hours, that magic number, 3 days, you would be amazed at the things that you see in everyday life around you. And it's not anything brought on by substance at that point. It's brought on by a spiritual awareness. Avoid the substances. They're being brought around to purposely and intentionally bust through your spiritual armor so that you're no longer protected. And then you're open to things like hypnosis, mesmerism, subliminal messaging. And if you're not a strong person, you're not going to make it through, because I almost haven't. I still am in this situation. Sure, I'm alive, but what kind of life am I living? That's why I do this. So we're going to pull up Revelation 18. Give me a second. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for listening to my testimony, because my testimony is not my own. There are a lot of us out there who are having and experiencing these same things. I am going to pull my phone up to make sure that it's working for y'all. So just give me 1 second. Thank you for your patience. I did get new glasses. They were cheap, 2 for 1. Please work. Please don't be wonky. Let's see. Da-da-da. Oh, okay, I can see it on the screen, but it takes forever to pull up over here. I don't know why it's like that. There it is. Yay. Do I have my glasses on? Are we current? Come on. Yep, okay. Now, I don't know why this one looks like this. It looks like it's laggy. I'm going to say it's because of the... Hold on. My back is killing me. I had to take a break. I took Sammy for like 3 walks yesterday just to like get him in that frame, just in case we end up on the streets. And I'm sore and I'm hurting. So again, what also happens is these people will come around and they will tell you what they've done. One of my best friends in this area, when I first met her, and I'll never forget it, the very first conversation that she had with me, she said, we were outside by the pool, because I was the pool girl at that time. That was one of my side jobs to help support my family. And she's like, oh, my best friend stole my husband and my kids, and now we have to live in this little place. Now the Wi-Fi for that apartment building 10 years later is Hose Palace. Again, they buy these places, and I'm not going to get into it, but the people that you think you know around you, you don't know. A lot of them have moved up in the echelon or in the pecking order. These regular folks who have been useful idiots, so to speak. And some of them are the elites. They are related to these bigger names. A lot of the information we have to understand that we get comes from them. So we have to look at it with that awareness, saying, okay, this information is coming from people that I don't trust. So how much of it am I going to believe? I might pull this up on a different, hold on 1 second, guys, because this is bothering me. I would like to use the actual Bible or whatever, but that one is giving me problems. So just hang on. So when they're around you, these people, she told me that, and that was her telling me what she was going to do to me. She said it happened to her. But again, this is them telling you what they're going to do to you. Now I'm going to share a different screen because I don't like the ads that are popping up on this, and it's making everything laggy. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate that while we sort through a few little technicalities there. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that one and make sure y'all are seeing the right thing. Cool. Okay. So I know that this person was with my husband. She asked if she could take some pictures of me. She was a photographer, and I saw her the other day in town. She's having a great life. She is living her best life after what she did to me. And it takes all of my energy sometimes to be in a town and remain in a place where I know people purposely push me into sin. Now, again, I want to express I am responsible for allowing it to happen and for consenting to it. And that is another really important message in my testimony is learn about consent. If you don't want to hear it from me or you're not able to understand um, the way I explain things, go look it up and learn from somebody else. Learn about passive consent, what that means. There are certain videos that make it big and go viral just with the express purpose of gaining your passive consent. If you watch that and you become aware of that thing in the spirit, and you don't say, well, I'm not going to consent to that, or you don't make it known in some way, shape, or form that you don't consent to that, then you are a part of it. Okay. And that's where, just like in our legal system, we have accessory to crimes. Well, there are accessories to the spiritual downfalls of our brothers and sisters. So I understand, again, we are trying to come from that victim mentality and victim shaming on the other end to using that voice to be our own advocate, not a victim, but an advocate. And the only difference there is in using your voice. Okay. And that's what I'm doing here is trying to move from victim to now I'm advocating for my own health, my own well-being, my own mental and spiritual state. I am now taking back responsibility for it. The problem is when we passively consent to these things, I was told that I was hypnotized. Didn't remember it happening, and I'm pretty sure it was happening when I was asleep. I would wake up and certain things were going on that shouldn't have been going on. That's why I sleep alone now. Ladies, I'm telling you, even you men, you've got to be careful, especially if you just got married in the last 5 years and you don't really know these people, because we have a lot of people walking around who are compromised. They don't see the spiritual ramifications of what they're doing. They're only looking at the here and now. They either want money or they want to move up that pecking order. And so they're selling out their family or they're stalking people that the system doesn't want. They are, you turn, when you're stalked like that, you either go from being a victim to being an advocate, or you become one of the stalkers. You become a gang stalker because you become compromised. And when that happens, if somebody blackmails you, excuse me, or if you become so burdened down, this is why scripture tells you to confess. If you become so burdened down with guilt and shame, then they can blackmail you to the side of darkness and make you useful. It's all about resources. We are resources. But they will never tell you that it's spiritual because for them, it's not. They don't even, a lot of them, the newer ones, don't even realize it's spiritual yet. They're not going to see these effects until afterwards. And some people sadly don't know what they've lost. So we're going to point to scripture here. We're going to look at something that I, didn't even realize was there. Why are you written like this? Why can't I just look at you in the Bible and pull you up? I don't like it's tiny. Can y'all see it? Can you see it? Yins. And there's my Pittsburgh geese. Can you see it? That's big enough, I guess. I'm not sure if I like these glasses yet. Please don't make fun of me. And that's, that's the thing. You're going to see channels on here who are on here with the express purpose of stalking you, of pretending to be your friend, of being nice to you. Some of them are AI creations. And that's why I do show my face for important videos like this, because you need to know where your information is coming from. Yes, I might be fallen. I might have fallen into sin, but I am repented and I do have a good heart. And I only did the things I did because, number one, I was addicted to the painkillers that were prescribed to me. And praise God, he delivered me of that and alcoholism for the most part. Sometimes I'm stupid and I still fall in that pit, but now I avoid temptation altogether. I don't even go into places that have a bar anymore. Well, I don't go anywhere. So I avoid that altogether. And I could not have done that on my own. The spouse was pseudo spouse, whatever he is, was right the other day when he said that. I could have never quit by myself. And I wasn't able to quit by myself. I wasn't able to quit until I hit my knees. That night that I believe they were going to kill me. I hit my knees and had this experience within like 5 minutes, and everything around me just got really quiet and bright, and it was just surreal. But anyways, I know the shame and guilt that goes along with being a victim, but that's where they want you. They want you residing in a state of shame and guilt, because that's another way that these demonic attachments can attach to you. Now, why should you care about that? If you don't know it's there, what do you care? It can make you sick. It can make you ill. I'm not a doctor. No part of this is medical advice. I'm a spiritual. If you want to call me any kind of advisor, I'm trying to advise you on how to prep your spirit based on my bad decisions. If you can avoid sin altogether, I do not advise the path of great sin to saint, because yes, it does happen. I wouldn't know what I know now if it wasn't for falling in the pit and God lifting me up out of there. But I could have stayed in the pit. So it's better not to fall in it all. Okay. So, and again, that's another reason that I do what I do. And it makes me nervous when I see people have like left, but I'm doing the best that I can because I'm not a teacher, and I'm not a theologian. Now, I used to support my whole family working 2 or 3 jobs. Most recent, well, the best job that I had, I was a processor at Huntington Bank, and I was also a collector, and I also built reports every morning or afternoon. I was also a nurse aide for the assisted living unit here in my area. I won several awards, and I won Customer Service of the Year award doing that. That was one of the reasons the spouse had to bring me down and make me fall. It was some type of competition. Again, Biden told us every household had to have a sacrifice, had to make a sacrifice. Start listening to these words that they're using, because they're messaging each other so that there's never a paper trail, there's never an electronic trail. And they watch you by attaching these monitoring spirits to you. Now, yes, they can actually do it through the demonic, so it's something you can't see or detect. And quite obviously, at this point, it's in your everyday products that you use and bring home that you have no idea, that you would still have no idea aren't what they seem to be. Air fresheners. Air fresheners can monitor you. Did you know that? Light bulbs, regular old light bulbs. Look into it. It's out there. Look into the Google. What was it called that I used to look at? Tech Geek. Yeah, they'll tell you all that stuff. Okay. So we're going to look at this real quick. And I shared the video because this man, he did a really good teaching. Now, I don't agree with all his interpretations, but we're never going to agree with each other all the time, all the way. So I am going to just start at 18. The verse that we're focusing on, I think, is 12, but we're going to, let's see. Can I just pull up? Hold, please. There, that's better. Yay. Revelation 18. Okay, so and after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was. My head is not covered. I always have a bandana somewhere. Fiddle dee dee. And I know it's not a big deal to people, but it's a big deal to me right now. So hold, please. Hang on. Sammy, let me let you off the bed. Yes, I'm a regular girl, a regular woman. I don't have a production studio or any of those things. Oh, heavens, Jen. Okay. Sorry. Everybody probably left. That's okay. I'm nothing if not sometimes entertaining. And I know that like people are like, oh, what do you care about that? Look, I've been through Hades. I've been walking through the fire for several years now. And I really, really will just do whatever it takes to get out of this situation. Just about. Like, I won't sell my soul, obviously. The whole point is to keep my soul. And that's another reason I'm doing this, is because I've had questions myself. Like, I've been to the point where I've been so abused that it pushes you to the other end. I was asking God this morning, like, why have you forsaken me? Why can't you give me a win somewhere, someplace? Like, why can't I have something go right? That probably looks ridiculous because I didn't do anything. Look, Jen. Sorry, this one's like, okay. So, and again, the shame and the guilt, it's all with a purpose. It's with the purpose of getting you with a spiritual attachment to bring you to a place that you're going to fall. And this is how I know it's the end days, is because spiritually speaking, why would you have all of this spiritual warfare happen at the same time, seemingly across the globe, to the point where they have to invent syndromes like demon syndrome or tell you aliens are coming because they know that you're noticing the differences between yourself and some of these other beings that are here with us already now and have been our whole lives. Well, the juice is wearing off, folks, and that's what's happening. The massive mesmerism and the massive subliminal messaging, almost exactly like they live, is wearing off on people. Now, I told you a quick way to do that if you want to see in the spirit and you want to see really good, is to empty your temple. You have to do that at least once or twice in the beginning of your conversion, and you have to confess. Otherwise, these attachments have a right to attach to you. This is why so many Protestant churches, like, they knew from the beginning that they weren't a part of the church or the body of Christ. The goal always was to lead the true body of Christ astray. And if you couldn't do that, well, they wanted to hide the true body of Christ so that nobody else could come to salvation. This is why they lie about the times. This is why they lie pretty much about everything. But they'll never admit to us that it's spiritual. And that's the goal. And that's how I know it's the end days, is because it's happening on such a massive scale now and it's noticeable. You have to ask yourself, well, why? Why now are we all being so spiritually attacked? Well, in one, it's the consequences of our actions. We're under judgment. God has taken away his covering from America and we're under attack. But why? Well, because they know that time's almost up and they want to take as many as they can with them. You never heard the saying, misery loves company? They can't attack God. They can't end God. They can only attack us. So that's what they do because they hate God. So in turn, they hate us. Those of us who are at least trying to be good, right? Okay, so enough of my rambling. Let's get to this. I want to show you this. And you can go through this and never see something until you do. So I apologize for never pointing this out earlier, and I will include that man's video, but I've not watched the whole thing yet. So again, I'm not endorsing his whole channel or belief system. I'm saying he helped me notice this, and he seems to have really thorough teaching on Babylon. So, and after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory, made brighter, I'm assuming. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils. This is where we're looking right here, folks. Right now, let's look at this. You know, I don't have an account here. They're going to make me, I mean, I do have one. I just don't sign into it because long story. Everyone on there is fake too. So right here, and he cried mightily. So that's the angel that comes down from heaven having great power. Now, I don't know when the angel cries out, do we on earth actually hear it? Is it audible? Great light. Haven't seen you in forever. Looks like a new channel name. Hello, Great Light. Nice to see you. Okay. So I don't know. Are people going to, can we hear this audibly? Or is this something only the heavens hear? Because you have to understand, heaven will be excited. They'll be arming up to like come get the elect, but also to like go to war with the ones who've been causing all this for so long. So like they are in that pre-war stage, right? They're getting their armaments on, their armor on, right? And so you have this one angel, almost like the little town crier with the newspaper back in the old-timey days, in the old movies, like news here, news here. So this angel comes flying by saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, is fallen. Now, this man whose video I shared pointed out that it says is fallen twice, which he takes to mean is a thing that already occurred, but it's also going to occur because, again, and this is the part that I do like and appreciate about the Catholic doctrine is that we have actual teachings on these verses from church fathers who have debated these things right at the beginning, and they made decisions on how it should be taught and what it meant. So, is that actually what that means? That Babylon the Great will fall twice. It sounds like a good guesstimation because when it talks about the woman in the sky with the stars on her head, it's talking about, yes, that star constellation, but it's also talking about Mother Mary. She is the one who was having the child that the dragon went to war with, right? Satan went to war with Christ and in turn with her because she bore Christ. So that verse is about Mary, which is a time in the past, but it's also about that star lineup, right? That alignment that we had just in 2017 or 18. All right. So do you see how that operates? Do you see how it can be a foreshadowing of something to come and something that already happened? And this is what's really amazing about the Bible is that it's so many different things at the same time and it makes them all correct. Like none of it's in error and it's all lined up together, right? It's a farming book, but it's also a law book. Like, how can you have a farming book and a law book at the same time? But you do. That's why, I appreciate how it's been compiled and put together. Okay, so he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Let's Google something, shall we? We stopped doing trending searches. My hair looks so goofy. That's funny. I look funny, but that's okay. I can laugh at myself, and that's okay. I can say I was a sinner. Some of these channels that like to talk junk, I was. I did some, what do I even want to call it? Because I wasn't, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't out murdering people. I did things to my own body that hurt myself, right? So I was disgusting for a time. But this is why you don't do substances to take down that inhibition. You have that guard on you for a reason. And this is why I speak out against that. If you want to have a spiritual awakening, you have to empty your temple. Don't put something else into it that's not supposed to be there in the first place. I guess that's what I have to say about that. And it was done to me on purpose. That was the goal. And I complied only too willingly. So I'm here to tell you that we are all responsible. I am responsible not for them abusing me, but I am responsible for not using my voice, right? Now, if someone, you want to talk about a victim, if someone is infirm or they're elderly or they're an infant, that's a no-go. We're supposed to be the voice for them. We're supposed to be the voice for the animals. We're supposed to be the voice for the children. We're supposed to be the voice for the elderly when they have no advocate, when they can no longer, or if they can't ever advocate for themselves because they're here and the Most High allowed them to be born here with some purpose and they carry the image of God as well. So we tend to them, we care for them, and we don't allow abuse to fall upon them. If we do, then what did I tell you earlier? Just like in this legal system, we're an accessory to crime. We're an accessory to that person's sin. That person wouldn't have sinned if you were never there to encourage it. So we're both responsible. Most people don't want to hear that, but it is the truth. Okay, so we're going to Google something. Somebody sent me mail from jw.org. I don't do Jehovah Witnesses. I mean, I pray for them, but I don't do that lingo. All right, so what was I going to look up? Oh, travel restrictions. Because I heard this, and this man said none of this had happened yet, but I want to, let me just disagree with him there on his video, right? Because I think he's an awesome teacher. Me personally, where I'm at right now, I disagree with this. Now, should I disagree with it? Maybe you guys can help me learn, you know what I mean? I like when we have fellowship and everybody gives their ideas, because again, I'm not a theologian. I'm trying to figure out where we're at here and now because we've been so deceived. Travel restrictions are regulated. Yes, I know. I'm trying to see if there's any right now. Hold on. Now, is when I read this, the first thing that come to my mind was travel restrictions. Oh, well, isn't that nifty? Trump's 2025 travel ban. Who is affected and what it could cost the economy? 14 hours. From Travel and Tour World. U.S. suspends routine visa applications from Zimbabwe. No passports, no study abroad. China limits public employees' travel, restricting the entry of foreign nationals to protect the United States from foreign terrorists. I'm telling you, they simply don't want. This is why people had to go through quarantine too. It was to make sure that they wouldn't talk about whatever was really going on wherever they were at. The full list of countries that have updated their U.S. travel guidance. Trump administration weighs adding 36 countries to travel ban. Here's the deal, America. I'm pretty sure that all the videos they're showing us of immigrants are at least 5 years old. You're going to, and I'll probably lose people there, but I don't care. Unless you're at that border yourself, you don't know. They're reusing media like nobody's business. They talked a few years ago when all this started with the first eclipse. They had talked about sending a rocket to the moon and like blowing up the moon or something. And now they're talking about putting a nuclear thing up there. Does anybody remember this, or am I the only one that remembers these things? Right before the first eclipse, NASA put up the red balloons with some mysterious bacteria in it just to see what it would do. And I've done videos on that over and over just to prove I remember, I know of what I speak. So I think I would pose to you that this is already happening. I don't think people have actually traveled out of our country or back into it for a while, unless they are in good with the system, unless they've already got all their real IDs, they've got their chip. But and they also have to be a deceiver. You can't go to the other country and come back and actually tell us what's really happening out there. They don't want us to know. The news that they tell you is in other countries is either, again, in the media, they call it media packaging. They will tell you about a news story, but if they don't have any footage for it, they will use random footage from the past. This is a regular practice in media. And that's when things were honest or more honest in media. That's something they do. So again, I know of what I speak. My mom had a video store. I made it my business to like know the guys that were in the photography team because I was in softball, so I couldn't do both, and art, so I couldn't do the photography club. We are being deceived in so many ways, and I think our country has already been made into a prison. How do I know this? Well, take a look at this. Do you really think that people like Oprah and Dr. Phil, who was the other one more recently that I saw that's somebody big, like currently big? Demi Moore was one. If you watch these YouTube ads before they come up, it's a lot of AI celebrities. Oh, Gwyneth Paltrow was the one the other day. And they hide their mouths or they put the fake mouths mouthing the words on the actual celebrities. Okay, full stop. Celebrities' brand is their face and voice. Unless they sold their face and voice to the system, and Angelina Jolie talked about doing that way back when she made that witch movie, the Disney movie, and that's old now. She talked about how stars were now selling their face for Hollywood to use and their name so that they could retire. You've been seeing AI in our country for a long time. This is why nobody liked the end of Game of Thrones, because the whole end was done with AI. And you're going to have people argue. They're not going to listen. AI wasn't around then. Use your eyes. Obviously it was, because that's why it's all dark. That's why it looks like junk. That's why the whole story was changed. When Rona happened, there was something more substantial going on, both in the physical realm that us regular peasants weren't allowed to see, but more so what we can do is in the spirit, because I want you to focus on solutions. Be solution centered. Don't be like me. Don't be paralyzed by shame and guilt and fear. Don't do that to yourself. Be an advocate for yourself, for your spirit, for your family. And yes, that's going to take maybe people throwing tomatoes at you, maybe people slinging mud at you, maybe people online who never show their faces or their real voices, but they're very brave behind their keyboards. Oh, I'm not going to say the name. I'm just going to be passive aggressive. They're not real they don't want to show you who they are. This is where we're at. People have become so shamed. That's another thing the mask was about. Hide your shame. Don't have a voice. Hide the image of God. Do you see how deep it gets? What else was different? How else I can prove this physically is by people. How many people do you know that when Rona started, they started walking around with these real big dark sunglasses? How many? Paul Bagley. I used to watch him. Coffee Time and all that. I used to watch him back in the old days of YouTube. I thought he was great. He was funny, kind of charismatic, goofy, made fun of himself. His wife was, they had a good little relationship that they showed. Suddenly, dude's got those, like, you can't even see nothing. It's like black glass. I have people walking around in my neighborhood like that, or I would think they were just hiding something AI, right? Like, oh, they're just hiding the eyes because AI can't do the eyes right. No, they're hiding their eyes. And it's not, I thought, well, maybe it's the Google glasses, right? Maybe they're doing that. Oh, I have no doubt that the neighbors and stuff are doing that. And that's another thing. All this without consent, like people plastering these CCTV videos everywhere. If God is allowing it, I get it to a point because we need public shaming at this point to break people out of this hardened heart that they have. I told you that dream I had the other day about getting through the blocks of granite. But at the same time, public shaming isn't something that should be done together or forever. Way back when everybody converted, I don't know if I read you guys this or if I read it on my own study time, but when the church fathers were deciding things and when they were, when they had all these conversions, when they turned into the Roman Catholic Church, they had a massive amount of conversion and they had people publicly repent and confess their sins so that in that way they all became responsible for each other and they were all there to listen to each other and they were all there to forgive each other. It was a group effort. That's rather beautiful when you think about it. And you think of like big town circles like this back in the day with people and pitchforks and wanting to burn people and this, that, and the other. But at this one, you had people proclaiming Christ and saying, I did this and I did that and I did this and I did that. And you had a big community saying, okay, we were there too. You've cried now, you've confessed, get up, give us a hug, and let's be a community again. You have to unburden yourself or these things will follow you, or you won't be able to have a voice and move from victim mentality to advocate mentality. You have to be an advocate for yourself. Why do you think I keep getting up every day, day after day? No job, no prospects, nothing in my future, no family that spends time with me, no birthday parties, no barbecues. Why do I do it? Because there is no other option. I have no other option. My best option is to try and keep somebody else from falling into the pits that I fell into. And that's what I mean when I say we are all responsible. We are all our brother and sister's keeper, but we are also responsible and accountable for ourselves. And that's why everyone here is guilty. And we should just get over it and admit to the stuff we've done. And again, it's not so somebody can berate you, it's so that you can have that lifted off. The only way they can blackmail you is if they have blackmail material, and they have nothing if you tell it yourself. And that's what I did. And I would propose to you that that's why they hate me. They don't hate me because I fell. Like I said, this woman that was supposed to be my friend, she said, come and I want to practice and do these pictures. And she wanted to do them kind of boudoir. And so I made them a Valentine's Day gift for my spouse. And then she asked me if I'd advertise for her and put them on Facebook because I was already doing the makeup. And I asked my spouse, I said, well, it's not really any more than a two-piece. Are you okay with it? And of course he said, yeah, because those two were together behind the scenes. The goal was to make me fall. And don't you know, she said, well, don't tell anyone I took these pictures. She had to hide her sin and her part in it. Now she's living her best life. She told me flat out that she had been with my husband. They kicked me out of church because I was with a married man. Well, his wife said she's disabled, but she just uses him. And after she drove me to work for a couple of years when our car was broke because I was supporting all of us. She told me that she had done this. And I'm telling you, there are covens in each town. These people knew each other. They grew up like this. They were raised like this. They don't know the love of Christ. The only way they're going to know the love of Christ is if we are the love of Christ. She was in the church. She gave me a copy of the NIV Bible. She wanted me to go to church with her. And I always, no, that's not for me. It's not for me. Because I was still missing Catholic church. And if I was going to go to church, it was going to be, church, a building that was a church. Because that's just how I felt about it at that time. The goal was to get me into a place where I remembered that again, where I sinned again, where I felt guilty, where I fell in the eyes of my children. Because they also asked me, leading up to all this, she said, "Who's your best friend these days? Who do you like spending the most time with?" I said, "Well, I hang out with you sometimes." I said, "But my kids." I said, "That's why I don't really have a lot of friends, because when I'm off work, I want to be with my kids. They're my best friend." "That's really sad," she said, and she helped me fall. Why am I telling you this? Because this is how they operate. They come to you, they tell you what they've done so that they can confess and unburden themselves. And then they get you to fall. She came from the church. Why was she in a church? Because they specifically give people assignments throughout their lifetime. These people that are born into the occult families, they get an assignment. And hers must have been to go and learn the Bible. And she knew some of it pretty well. But when I said certain other things, she'd be like, "Well, that's really legalistic. That's legalistic." Why am I telling you this? Because it's going on everywhere, and because it's making people demonized. So if the angel in the end here at Revelation 18 says Babylon the Great has fallen twice, then we know that it happens more than once. And we know that it's the same place geographically, because it's only telling us of one place. And again, I pose to you that America is Babylon. America is Egypt. America is the Middle East or whatever. Like, we're inside of it. USA is within Jerusalem. I started that like 8 years ago. I'm so glad it's a thing now. Like, I can't even express to you. I don't need money. Like, I just, to feel not crazy anymore. Because you get told that. They put you in a bubble. They don't want you to have friends. And they isolate, the isolation happens so slowly over time that you don't realize it's happening. And then they're doing character assassination around you. My husband's aunt, she thinks I don't recognize her. I don't know why she thinks this. Just because you go away for a few years or whatever doesn't mean I won't recognize you, or if you get work done on your nose. She followed me from the pizza job I had to the Dollar Tree to the other pizza shop. Oh, she's crazy. This person's crazy. She's nuts. Like nothing but a busybody. I don't know you. At first, I didn't recognize her. I'm like, okay, you're using a different name. And again, I don't know exactly what's going on or who these people think they are. Just like Lindsay Lohan. She looks like she used to look again, but she had like a 5-year period where she looked completely different. I'm telling you, it's not happening just on the screen, that it's happening in everyday life. And this is why they're creating things like demon syndrome. And this is why I believe America is under quarantine. I don't think we've had these mass immigration events that they're talking about. I think they're using old video footage for that. I think they buttoned that up nicely years ago because they've used it. I've been around a while now. They've used it for Clinton. They've used it for Obama. They've used it for Trump. They've used it for Biden. And now Trump again. It's always the border. Every 4 years, it's the border, the border, the border. That border's secure. If you watch certain YouTubers who don't watch TV and they don't know they shouldn't be showing you stuff, like I watched a small channel the other day, dude's driving through Arizona, clear skies, not a fire cloud or a wildfire in sight. You got to start paying attention. They're lying to us about everything. And I would almost bet that the Arizona stuff and the Grand Canyon stuff is because we were talking about it on this channel. How do more people know about it? I don't know. I don't know, but again, that's the targeting. Just like in The Fallen with Denzel Washington. Every time those people like touched on the sidewalk, the spirit would go from that person to the next just to follow him and harass him. And then they say things about you that they shouldn't know. They know things that they shouldn't know about you. I think that we are buttoned up tight. That's my theory. I can't guarantee it because I'm not there either. But I'm pretty sure we're buttoned up tight. They're not allowing us to fly off and go just anywhere. This is, and the goal is they're not going to come out and say we're under martial law. They're not going to say you're not allowed to fly, that you're restricted. Instead, they're going to make it your own idea. You're not going to fly because you're seeing all these planes crash and all these people freak out on planes. So you're not going to fly anyway. You're not going to want any part of that, right? Do you see how that works, that reverse psychology? The same thing with the wildfires. Well, we'll just say all this stuff is on fire so nobody goes here now. Nobody will go there because they believe that this is Jerusalem and we've got to lock it down. I'm telling you, the true God, if I'm right about that, he's not going to let that happen. So what does this mean? Cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Every unclean and hateful bird. Well, let's take a look and let's just make sure. Let's look at another version and just see what else we got, okay? Let's look at an old one. I like the Dewey Rames, but now people are saying not to use it. Like, you can get the Bible no matter what version you use. Like, you can grasp the gospel. Christ told us it's so easy a child can understand. You don't even have to be able to read. You got to be able to listen with your heart and know the law that God wrote on your heart. So this is the King James with Apocrypha. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean, hateful bird. So that's real close because it's just KJV with Apocrypha. Now I want to go to the Catholic one because it is older, and I'm just curious of the wording that they use there. Because I'm looking at the word bird that they're using there, and I just want to make sure I don't misinform you. But bird, I'm assuming, can be related to like a demon, a foul spirit, a flying spirit. I can't do that. I have to make my account so that I can do that. Okay. And he cried out with strength, saying, Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great, and she has become the habitation of demons and the keepsake of every unclean spirit and the possession of every unclean and hateful flying thing. So that's a little different. Let's look at this now. And the possession of every unclean and hateful flying thing. What does that mean? When you take possession of something, you take what? Ownership. And what have I been talking about for years now? Powers and principalities. So think of it like this. Our map, right? Every state, you know how it's drawn in a really weird shape sometimes? Every geographical area belongs to its own principality. What does that mean? That means an angel has charge over that geographical area. Now, is it by state or nation? I honestly don't know. I think it's landmass, right? 7 churches, 7 mountains. Ain't there 7 continents? So it would be land masses, I think. 7 seals. It matches, it tracks. So anyway, moving from there. She has become the habitation of demons. So everybody always was a woman. What is a woman? A woman is a vessel who holds other beings, right? Follow me. They call ships she because they're a vessel that holds other beings within the womb of the ship. Okay. So a country and a church and almost any organization, any group that holds a group of beings, right, is a she. So in this case, we know Babylon, she is America. And I'm not even going to argue that with people anymore. It just is. Whatever this landmass is that we're on, this is it. And it started with Jersey Shore, and I'm always going to say that because that just was when I saw that show, and I had a friend at the time, probably wasn't even a friend, who would come around and wanted to watch that in my apartment. And I was like, no, you're not playing that in my house. I have 2 young kids. You're pregnant. You shouldn't want to watch that. Like, I'm not watching that. And then she proceeded to want to get me drunk because she couldn't drink. So here, you drink because I'm too pregnant. That's the problem, is I was always too willing to be the purveyor of my own demise. And I'm telling you, don't even go there. Don't get to that point. Observe the people around you. They might not be who you thought they were, or they might be changed. Either way, these people need prayer. Christ never accomplished deliverance through violence. Never. Again, these people are wolves in sheep's clothing online. here to mislead you. That is their job, is to mislead you. They might have every bit of doctrine correct, but they're toting guns. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to say you're not a Christian if you protect your family. That's not my choice to make. I'm just going to say that Christ wasn't like that. He didn't have weapons. He whipped a whip once in the temple. He did not do harm to the animals or to the people. He showed his righteous indignation and righteous anger for what was going on there. Like, man, just stop sinning. Confess your sins. Why are you going to kill an animal and pay for it in my Father's house and spill their blood just so you can go continue to sin some more? The goal was to free us from that, from the jump. Okay, so she is a nation or a church or an organization, anything that holds other live beings, all right? So she is the country in this state, the country of America. But the keepsake of every unclean spirit, what do you do with a keepsake? What do you guys do with it? You hold it in your hands. You look at it. You love it. This is where it gets gross. So it is telling us that America is now the possession of every unclean and hateful flying thing. Fallen angel. The possession. Okay, so America, Babylon, it's telling us Babylon here, and this is where English grammar comes in effect. What are they talking about? She has become. Who is she? Babylon. Who is Babylon? America. So, and America has become the habitation of demons and the keepsake of every unclean spirit. Well, what does that mean? That means that the principality above America is a fallen angel. And it's one of the princes of hell. I'm pretty sure I know which one it is. It seems to be, I don't even want to say his name. I apologize. I'm not invoking you. I think it's Asmodeus. That's who I think it is. And I think he's got his little chiefs. Jesus was speaking of his body temple. I feel he would have been arrested if he damaged property in a hand-built temple. No, that's not true. I don't want to get distracted from this message, but you commented, so I want to address that. Yes, Jesus was speaking of his body when he said, I will rebuild this temple in 3 days. He was talking about his body. But it's called a double entendre, okay? So they tell us, he's telling us two things, all right? And this right here, you're not reading your Bible then. And I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm just saying if you want to know what Jesus did, you have to actually read the Bible. Because it tells us, and it's kind of funny, it tells us that Christ keeps slipping away from the Roman authorities, that they just, God, dear, like why does everybody limit God? He's the Son of God. Do you really think God's going to allow him to be arrested before his time? What did he keep saying throughout the whole gospel? It is not yet my time. It is not yet my time. It is not yet my time. When it was his time, he went with them willingly in the Garden of Gethsemane, which took place after the temple. Yes, that's probably why they went after that was the final straw, like why they went after him. But God is the one that allowed him to be caught and ensnared. God allowed it because it had to happen. But do you really think the creator of everything is going to let somebody be taken to jail if he doesn't want them there? I mean, come on. What would Christ say to you? Ye of little faith. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm trying to encourage you. It's God we're dealing with. God's not going to allow you to be taken before your time. God's not going to allow you to be strayed from your path, from your purpose. He will allow you to use your free will. You remember you said you don't have to know how to read. It's in your spirit. Yes, but now you are talking about the actual gospel with me. Now you're talking about what's in the scriptures. Okay, so again, you're talking about two different things. So you don't have to know to read. It's in your spirit. Yes, the gospel of salvation should be written upon your heart. Love over all things. Love your fellow man. Love God. Love yourself. Love. should be written on your heart. And it's so easy, even a child can understand it. Because when Christ came in the Sermon on the Mount, he told us all these different ways and different scenarios because he was trying to express to do all these things with love. If you speak from a place of love and you act from a place of love, you won't go wrong. You won't go astray, and you will fulfill the requirements of salvation. That is cooperating with your salvation when you love yourself and you love others and you love God. Okay? That's the gospel. But what you're talking about, but I'm telling myself what people are saying. No one taught me English. You can think what you want, but that's not what the Bible says. Okay? All right, let's continue with this because, again, I'm not going to argue with folks. Like, that's not the purpose of any of this. All right, so she has become the habitation of demons. That means that America, the land of Babylon, she is the home, the dwelling place of nothing but demons. All right? And the keepsake of every unclean spirit. Keepsake is also another way to say possession. That means we are under the authority right now, because we're under judgment. We are under the authority of every unclean spirit, and we are the possession of the unclean and hateful flying thing in America. This goes along with everything we're hearing about travel restrictions, about the Rona since 2019, demon syndrome, all these massive tragedies that you're seeing taking place with alleged Manchurian candidates, some saying they're targeted individuals, some saying they're angered vets. But you're seeing all these people allegedly with all these violent outbreaks. And I want to tell you something. I don't know if you guys caught it, but the video of the people getting beat in Cleveland, the woman, if you look at her when she falls down, her face is already black and blue. She's already has a battered face, and that doesn't happen instantaneously. It takes like an hour or more for your eye to, well, not an hour, like if you're a boxer, it'll happen pretty quick. But she had already had yellow and purple there. That what you're seeing is an initiation. Because here's the goal. The goal is to get you and me to beg them to get some law and order on our streets. And they'll say, oh, well, we're only too happy to comply. Now you're going to have armed guards on your street corners, just like Syria's had to deal with for many years. And they're not going to be U.S. troops. Oh, no, no, no. They're going to be UN. Because U.S. troops, they're right, would never, most of them, would not harm their fellow citizens unless they're severely compromised. And what are a lot of the big YouTubers? What do they tell you? I'm ex-military. So why are you listening to them? Now, I have one more thing to say about the alien invasion. And yes, I'm a little nervous because these parts of my testimony, they're not easy, and I know how much I get attacked. I get picked on and bullied by grown men telling me I'm going bald because I had my hair in a ponytail and I have thin hair. Ooh. Like, if you can't see that people are demonic at this point, I don't know what else to tell you. I got like a hangnail and I keep messing with it and I shouldn't, but I do. Okay. So we are under the authority of some type of fallen principality. That means that the angel above America has fallen. The one who had us, the principality above us. And we are now under the command or authority of unclean spirits and hateful flying things, a fallen one and whoever he has under him in his legion, right? Because it's just like an army, they get their armies too. And we've talked about that as well. I lost my train of thought of what I was going to say because that part makes me nervous about actually like outing some of this plan. So that brings us right into the segue of ex-military being on here. I see that you retracted all your messages, but again, I didn't do anything wrong to you. I'm just telling you to read the scripture if you want to know what it says where he was in the temple. And that it was a double entendre. He was talking about the physical temple, and he was absolutely talking about his body as well. But again, some of these people just do this just with the intent purpose of interrupting and not of actually like there. Okay, sorry about that. I've never done that, but I'm going to do it now because it needs to be done. Okay, so let's talk about the possibility of the alien deception. I might do this as a separate upload as well, but here's my problem with this, and it's just a theory. So hold on a second. I'm going to write that down because I want to read this next verse because I think it applies. Now, you see these things in the sky and you see everybody taking credit for it. Now, I'm not going to disagree that there are drones in the skies and that they're testing those to do deliveries for pharmaceuticals and Amazon because they don't want you out and about. They don't want you to see what's actually going on, and they don't want you to see the lack of people. And I'm just being straight with y'all. I don't care what city you say you're in or where you say you go. Yes, there are condensed areas, but we don't have the population we used to, and we've never had the population they say we have. Now, let's read this next verse, and then I'm going to pose a theory to you that I think deserves at least listening to, just again, so that we're on awareness. Sometimes playing devil's advocate is necessary. So, for all the nations have imbibed the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have fornicated with her, and the merchants of the earth have become wealthy by the power of her pleasures. That means exactly what you think it means. That is our military industrial complex. That is the porn industry in America and how much has gone out from us, the filth. And that's the merchants of the earth have become wealthy by the power of her pleasures, right? The power of her pleasures. Merchants can also mean pharmakia. And again, every verse usually means two or three things. You have the superficial, which is the material. You have the spiritual, just like Jesus with the temple. And then you have another one that sometimes relates to like societal or a timeline implication. And again, some people say, well, you know so much about doctrine and you haven't been reading the Bible that long on your own. No, I haven't. The doctrine came from being brought up in the church everyone hates, in the Catholic Church. They teach us what these things mean, and there is a doctrine. And most Protestants don't. What's a doctrine? Well, it's what you have to learn to understand the Bible. It helps us understand it, right? But that's what people want. People want to interpret it for themselves, and they want some kind of glory, and they want to make money off of even scripture. And it's just unfortunate that this is happening. I would urge you not to listen to people like that, and I'm going to give you another reason in a moment. For all the nations have imbibed, so we know that this is happening. And again, I'm going to say that those things that they said were Elon flying something with SpaceX, that's not what that is. It's war in the heavens. Like, we're able to see it now because there was a shift. So it says, and I heard another voice saying, go away from her, my people, so that you may not be participant in her pleasures, and so you may not be recipients of her afflictions. For her sins have pierced through even to heaven, and the Lord has remembered her iniquities. Render to her as she also rendered to you, and repay her doubly according to her works. Mix for her a double portion in the cup with which she mixed. And that's the Lord kind of talking about that aspect. Now, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to end it here, and I hope that it makes sense. And I hope that people can kind of understand what I'm talking about. I'm going to stop sharing this and do this. Not that I'm great to look at. I'm not saying that at all. I'm going to give you my little theory here and hope that it makes sense. Okay. The alien deception. What if the alien deception is a deception? So I'm going to say the alien deception, because we have people that have been talking about this for a very, very long time online. This information has been allowed to reach the public. Most of the channels talk about the alien deception now. A lot of those same channels tell us that they are ex-military, and I'm sorry, but I no longer trust the people that say they are in our military unless they are repentant of what they've participated in. Because I've been around that my whole life and I see the effects of it, you know? Anyways, what if the alien deception is a deception? What if the people telling you about the alien deception are compromised? What if they are indeed alien themselves? Now, I didn't want to approach this topic in this way, and I'm going to think about it some more and let it marinate. But I don't believe in aliens, but the maker can create whatever he wants to create. It's not up to me, it's up to him, right? He can create whatever he wants to create. The Bible says, read the gospel to all creatures, right? So even a child can understand. If a child can't read, you should be able to relay it to them. Do all things from love, right? What if the alien deception is the deception because it's coming from bigger channels on YouTube, people who are being paid, people who are likely compromised because they've gotten some traction, people who admit to being ex-military? What if they're not ex-military and it's another psyop? What if they're saying this because they are in fact the aliens or the hybrids among us who aren't alien at all? They are created in air through angelic beings mating with regular human women. And I'm here to tell you that that's happening right now. And those children grow up faster. So it's something that we should be able to see with our eyes very soon. And I know just from looking at social media, the last time I was on there, I got off because I'm like, this girl was just pregnant. She just had this baby. Suddenly, this baby looks 3, and now she's pregnant again. I don't know what's happening. And again, it's not just my whatever it is I'm dealing with and the stress of the turmoil of my situation. No, because I question myself because I know I'm analytical. So I'm like, Jen, you're overthinking this. This doesn't mean this is what's happening. You're just, you're thinking too much. But then I'll see another example of it that confirms my suspicion. And here we are. I would also say that we are told that the times will change, that he will think to change the times and the seasons. You got to be careful with Daniel, because Daniel, and most people won't teach you this, Daniel's talking about, again, 2 different time periods. It's talking about the end of days, but it's also talking about Christ's end of days. So it's talking about Christ and the Antichrist side by side in Daniel. You can see them both. And again, I'm just being honest with you. I don't want you to get confused because people are attributing some of the things in Daniel to the Antichrist, but it's what Christ already did. He ended the daily sacrifice when he went into the temple and threw the fit, the righteous indignation. He ended the daily sacrifice. I believe that will happen again, but it will be the daily mass that stops. There will be no more daily mass, and that's a big deal. Non-Catholics don't understand it, but it's very symbolic and effective of what was done for us. And it's our way of saying thank you and remembering the old ways as, I don't know what I am, a Gentile, a pagan convert. I don't know what I used to be or what my family was. But again, that's all been done with these times in mind. They don't want you listening to somebody like me. That's why they ruined my credibility. That's why all my followers and all my social media sites were shut down. There's some type of back end to my accounts where I'm not actually getting out to real people. So even if I'm only witnessing here to people who are my enemies or the enemy of my enemy, that's okay too. It means this is how it's meant to be. And maybe that my testimony or the pain that I suffer will cause you to repent. And I always offer up my suffering now. But I think the alien deception could possibly be a deception. Don't you dare turn on God's holy angels. I'm warning you, don't do it. If that's what they're, don't get involved physically. It's not a physical battle for us to get involved in, because if one of us stands against a holy angel, they can take down 10,000 at a time. And the military has documents on this. So I just wanted to put that out there. I might go cut the grass. I might go walk my dog. I don't know, but I need to try and live a little bit. I'm having a rough time. If you could pray for me, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. And I appreciate you spending your most valuable currency, your time, with me. Have a blessed day, guys.